Why do you hate me? Why can't I stand and walk away? Why is it so damn hard to stay? Never sick because I got something to say. I'm so sick of all your problems lately. You need your drama so you keep me around. If things ain't getting any better, I'm ready down soon. I'm sick and tired of being pushed around. So I'm waiting for the storm to save me. When everybody wants to shut me down. And I ain't hearing one word you gotta say to me. Right now I'm trying to figure you out. You bring me down. Every time I turn around and I ask you why. Why do you hate me? Why you try changing who I am? Now why can't I make you understand? Now understand that you're always about to come to an end. No one ever gave a fuck until right now. When they're all like, I'm giving it up. Fuck it, I'm not giving everything I ever had to give. Right now I'm just not giving a fuck. So what? So I'm waiting for the storm to say what? But you can bet I'm getting sick of your lies. Well, I know all what you gotta say to me. Why should I even? You bring me down. Every time I turn around and I ask you why you keep dragging me down, slam my face into the ground. I ask you why you keep beating me. I can't take this anymore. I gotta ask you why do you drag me down? Every time I turn around and I ask you why do you hate me? Yeah, what's it always gonna be like that? You know it's always your way. Look at your CPS, yeah. And one day you're gonna understand that you've been finding your words for too long and no one cares. Now all those people that you keep on your side, and they don't know you like I do, and all these secrets that you try to hide. Chasing way up and look at you. It's not the night when my back just turns on and now I'm throwing down. You bring me down. Every time I turn around and I ask you why you keep dragging me down, slam my face into the ground. I ask you why you keep beating me. I can't take this anymore. I gotta ask you why do you drag me down? Every time I turn around and I ask you why do you hate me?
What's going on out there? Welcome, everybody. Today's January 15th, 2026. Hey, we made it to 2026. Look at that. Thank you for the couple of you that are in here. Maybe one day I'll be graced with the presence of hundreds of people. I highly doubt it, but you never know. Excuse me, just had me a steak salad. So, welcome, Jethro. Welcome, Jethro. Lynette, hello. Xenial, what's happening? And a few of you lurkers, what's going on? Anyways, today's stream is to talk about real whistleblowers and real journalists who are in real danger. Not those fake, phony YouTube clowns who like to run around and yammer on about how dangerous it is out here in this YouTube streets. You know, I'm so sick of hearing it, man. When you got real whistleblowers out here that are doing the actual fight, not just plagiarizing other people's content, work, and hard digging investigations. You know, when you steal somebody's journalistic work, that's not called journalism, that's called plagiarism. Let's get this straight, everybody. Does anybody understand the word plagiarism? That's what the word is for when you steal other people's work and you try to claim that you're a journalist. There's no such thing as journalism when you're stealing other people's content, sharing videos, sharing people's information isn't journalism. Getting off your lazy ass and hitting the streets, pounding the pavement, that's journalism. Am I making myself perfectly clear to those of you out here who claim that you're journalists, that you're whistleblowers? I would suggest you shut the fuck up and understand that you're plagiarizing other people's hard work. That's it. You fucking lazy motherfuckers. So nonetheless, today's stream is about a young man named Dustin. He's from the Genesee County here in Michigan, which is Flint, the Flint area, which many of you probably are aware of Flint with the water crisis and Obama not wanting to really drink the water, or he just took a cup and he's, this water is the greatest water in the world. And he took a little sip. Well, yeah, this young man, I don't know all the details. I'm not well versed in everything that went down, the timeline, the exact dates, but the gist of it is this young man had his kids taken away through the Child Protective Services. You know, they like to kidnap children. They like to hold them hostage. They use the administrative hearings that aren't legal. They're not lawful. They're a charade. You know, this guy, he's fighting and was, you know, we're not quite sure, you know, the extent of the situation, but he's fighting for the return of his daughters from Child Protective Services. And you know, that's what real fathers do, is that they want to spend their life raising their children as the best they can, not allowing anybody else to raise their children, let alone foster parents in the Child Protective Services division. You know, I personally don't want family members raising my children. I don't want my kids to grow up to not know who I am as a father. You know, I'm not trying to make my career on YouTube, you know, make it this isn't my brand. This isn't my business model. This is just me with a microphone, just telling you all facts, bringing information to you, the cold hard truth. This is what I'm here to do, is to bring the cold hard truth. And some people out here can't handle the truth. And that's the real deal. So, with having said that, this young man, Dustin, has been in a fight with CPS for a while, and he has been putting up a pretty good battle. He's been doing what some of you out here claim to be doing, but in all reality, all you're doing is shitting and falling back in it. The real whistleblowers is this man right here. This man right here, Dustin. This is a real man. This is a gentleman who wants to fight the system from their egregious overreach, their orders, their directives, whatever it is that the government thinks that they have the authority over. We could get into why the government has, their illusory authority. It's all related to your birth certificate and your social security, and then you register. That's we're not going to get into the sovereign stuff, as some people call soft-sit bullshit, but it's not soft-sit bullshit. So anywho, this man right here, Dustin Andovich, I'm not exactly positive on the exact enunciation of his name, but this gentleman has been through a lot of insanity in his life, just in the past couple of years, trying to fight to get his children back from government agents. So let me read this post that was a couple days ago, and I should probably not read this one. I should probably come down here to this. Let's share this tab instead. Let's watch this video of Dustin so you can get an idea of what he's doing and his mission, so to speak. Let's check him out, if you don't mind.
First and foremost, I don't want to follow that, but I will. My name is Dustin Andosic. I started law for the layman. Many of you guys know me. I've met some people here for the first time.
He started a site called Law for the Layman, and that's what he was saying. So this is just a recording, of course, from a protest outside of the Genesee County Jail.
Reverend Pastor, thank you for the courage to speak out. And I agree with you. That is what we're here for. And I gave Flint a message. The message is this: my children were abused, and they still are. They're allowed by these people right here. And then I ended up there for fighting for my kids. I was removed from my home without a warrant by Officer Gatika, Deputy Gatika, came into my home and removed me. And do you know they didn't have a warrant? They didn't take me anywhere. You want to know why? Because I was fighting for my kids. And you never come between a father and his children. Ever.
Yeah, you hear that? You never come between a father and their children. Lesson for some of you to learn out there.
You don't become between a mother and her children. Ever. And here's what. This right here, and I warned everybody. I warned everybody that's corrupt. You mess with the one thing that's going to reverse 20 years, 30 years, actually 1964, remember this. This plant we're seeing started in 1964, Mr. Hudson, with Mr. Katzman. It's in court records. They tried to poison us then. They just dusted this plant off. But what happens is that when you speak out, you get strapped to a restraint chair and tortured. In that place right there. And you know why I got tortured? Because I spoke out. That's it. And I remained silent. They created 3 false felony charges. So my message today is this, Flint. There's some of us that are going to go through pain. I swear to you.
Yep, there's some of us that'll go through pain fighting for the truth. There's some of them some of you out there will inflict the pain. It just matters what side of good you're on. Are you on the side of good, or are you on the side of evil? That's what really matters.
God. I'm mad at God. Reverend, I posted that. I'm mad at God.
I'm not mad at God.
But it's kind of like a father thing. I'll work that out with him. I'll have that conversation. But for some reason, he put this on us. We're going to make the change. It starts right here with a small movement. And you keep speaking. And that pain, the retaliation that you feel, is us making progress. It brings men like this to this city that wants to do something great. So Flint, we're going to go through a little bit of pain, but let's do it one time and fucking end it.
All right, so there you got a decent idea of what Dustin is all about. And he's fighting for his kids, and he was unlawfully arrested without a warrant, charged with 3 felonies, taken to the Genesee County Jail, put in a restraint chair, and tortured because he won't give up the fight for his children to be returned to him. So, welcome, Biscuits and Groovy. Good to see you. So we're dealing with some insane situation. It's very controversial what's going on right now. It's not clear what happened to Dustin. It's not really clear what happened to him at this point, but there's a lot of questions, unanswered questions that are surrounding his disappearance. He's not really been seen for a couple of months. There are some reports that he was, I guess, in a conversation with somebody just after Christmas, but there's no positive confirmation. So we can let's go back and read this other post that I was originally, let's go read the other post, this one here, and give you an idea what's going on. So it's maybe a little ahead of itself. Nobody's 100% on this. So Dustin Andovich, a Flint-based activist known for his outspoken fight against corruption in Genesee County, has reportedly passed away on January 5th, 2026. This is preliminary reports, and the only information that has come out for the past couple of months amidst his disappearance is a lone obituary in a paper for a local funeral home. And so, according to the information circulating among supporters and community members, his death follows years of intense activism, public allegations of misconduct, and repeated claims that he faced threats for exposing systemic abuse. And Dustin Andovich was a disabled father, former tech executive, and the founder of Law for the Layman, a grassroots legal empowerment organization designed to help everyday people investigate and challenge corruption within government and judicial systems. He also developed a tool, which is right here in blue, AIEGIS.ai, a tool intended to assist citizens in analyzing public records, audits, and legal data to uncover misconduct and accountability failures. Andovich was particularly vocal about alleged corruption within the Genesee County Sheriff's Office, repeatedly naming Sheriff Chris Swanson. Side note, Chris Swanson is going to be running for governor here in the state of Michigan real soon, which is probably not a good thing for the people of Michigan. So in his public investigations, his work extended to alleged threats received as a result of his activism, not your own manufactured threats, where you go around harassing people and they say things to you, or you presume that you're in danger. These are legitimate threats that he's receiving. And he was investigating actual deaths in the Genesee County Jail, allegations of child trafficking within the court system, an analysis of federal audits and unaddressed financial discrepancies, claims of judicial campaign donation fraud, advocacy for families harmed by the system. See, this is the type of stuff that this young man is doing in his activism, in his whistleblowing and in his real journalism. Not you fake ass bullshit fucking artists that are out here running your yaps all over the fucking internet. He frequently shared his own experiences, stating he lost custody of his daughters and was tortured in a restraint chair by Genesee County Sheriff's Department. Experiences, he said, fundamentally shaped his entire mission. I did the entire in there. Shaped his mission. Despite concerns at times that he had gone missing, Andovich was publicly active as recently as August 3rd of 25, posting on Facebook to invite individuals into conversations about peaceful accountability and systemic change. He also shared a live video on July 30th, 25, continuing to discuss corruption, audits, and institutional harm. These posts are confirmed that he remained committed to his cause until the final months of his life. For years, supporters expressed concern for Andovich's safety due to the powerful institution he is challenged. He repeatedly stated that he was receiving threats related to his investigations and encouraged transparency and dialogue rather than silence. With his reported death on January 5th, 26, many in the community are now asking difficult questions. Were the threats he described ever formally investigated? What happens to the cases and evidence he worked to expose? Who protects activists when accountability threatens entrenched power? Dustin Andovich's life and work highlight the risk faced by grassroots activists who challenge local power structures. I think I've been challenging local power structures myself, and wonder how that turns out, right? Well, especially in communities already burdened by systemic injustice. Whether one agreed with all of his claims or not, his work forced uncomfortable conversations about transparency, oversight, and the treatment of vulnerable families within the legal system. Andovich has often emphasized that his mission was never about chaos or revenge. Doesn't sound like anything that I've ever been involved in, right? Chaos or revenge. But about truth, documentation, and peaceful accountability. Supporters say honoring his legacy means continuing to ask questions, protect whistleblowers, real whistleblowers, and demand transparency, especially when it is inconvenient. If you or someone you know has information related to the issues Dustin Andovich raised, or if you believe his work deserves further investigation, contact independent journalists, watchdog organizations, or legal advocacy groups. The allegations highlighted in this article reflect Andovich's public statements and advocacy focus and have not been independently adjudicated. So it gives you a pretty good idea of what this man is about and his integrity, his mission, his goal, and his dedication. You know, he wasn't just a social media pain in the ass. He actually went out there, pounded the streets, knocked on doors, sounds familiar to me, and did real investigative journalism. Unlike others on here, on social media, who just clickety-clack the keys. Yep, just clickety-clack them keys, right? Right. So anywho, this guy is really someone to hold to a higher standard, to respect. He shouldn't go unrecognized. He should be honored if his death has been confirmed. Not quite sure. This was back in September during the period where he was kind of MIA. This man right here, if you can see it, yeah, this man right here, he's from the People, We the People Network, or We the People News. His name is Jason Dyfour. And
we just got all the paperwork here. Not going to show that all good. Good luck trying to pause it. Anyway, this is all Dustin stuff. Just got all this shit right now. And that's everything I need. And now I'm on my way to federal court. Fuck around, find out, bitches.
So this guy is a reporter who is on his side. He's advocating for him. He's trying to peel back the layers of the onion to find out what happened to Dustin. And we can go to this information here, and we will discuss what's typed out here by We the People News. There's a lot of questions here. There's a lot of information, a lot of questions. So he was a father and an activist, and a sudden appearance, publicly fighting to see his children for accusing local authorities of corruption, has abruptly vanished from public view. In recent days, rumors have spread rapidly across social media, claiming that Dustin is dead and may have taken his own life. But there's many of his own reports, his own videos, his own streams where he has made numerous statements that he is not suicidal and that if anything happened to him, it wasn't by his own hand. And some people are saying that he found the fate of the Clintons. And instead of it being the Clintons, they're saying that he found the fate of the Swanson, which is Chris Swanson, Genesee County Sheriff. So what is confirmed is this: Dustin, once highly visible online and outspoken about alleged misconduct by a local agency, is now completely absent. His social media accounts have disappeared. His podcasts and activist pages are gone. Friends say that they can no longer reach him, and authorities have offered no public explanation. This vacuum has ignited fear, suspicion, and disbelief among his followers. Well, one thing that I've discovered reading through some of this information and what I've discovered is that apparently he was working with the FBI to some degree. I don't know what extent, if it was, some serious information, if it was anything of the sort. But one potential may be happening here is that there is a possibility, a slight possibility, that he has been taken into WITSAC, the FBI, the Department of Justice's witness protection program. That's my dime store opinion of the alternate to his actual suicide. It could be all staged. It may be, who knows? He may have succumbed to the threats. I don't believe that this man would commit suicide. I really don't think that would be something that he would do. But nonetheless, those are the alleged reports at this time. Of course, he double tap himself in the back of the head on a park bench? No, it allegedly was in his parents' bathroom. So, Dustin was a vocal advocate for fathers' rights and a relentless critic of Genesee County family court system. Friends describe him as a devoted parent whose primary goal was simple: to see his children. Throughout 2024 and 25, Dustin publicly alleged corruption involving local officials and law enforcement. He claimed retaliation followed, including criminal charges he insisted were false. He also alleged mistreatment while in custody, including being restrained and abused by deputies, claims that became the basis of federal civil rights lawsuits. Those cases, while contested, still legally unresolved, placed Dustin in direct conflict with powerful local institutions. And in a minute, I can pull up his civil suits on the federal docket that we can check out. There's a lot of them from what I hear. And nonetheless, court records and Court records show Dustin faced a criminal charge stemming from an alleged minor physical contact with a county official in an allegation he denied. He later filed federal civil rights lawsuits alleging retaliation and abuse tied to his whistleblowing activity. One lawsuit was dismissed on procedural grounds. Another was refiled with Dustin as the sole plaintiff and remained active as of late 25. County officials denied wrongdoing. Shocker. If any of you have never dealt with corporate entities such as lawyers who represent the county, the sheriff, the courts, the CPS, any of those people, if you've never dealt with civil procedure, may I suggest that you reconsider getting yourself into a situation where you need to do that, because I'll tell you what, it's one of the most painstaking events that you'll ever encounter. I've been dealing with this for nearly 4 years now. Coming up on 4 years in my federal and my state suit. But it doesn't deter me from doing it. One lawsuit, I read that. Supporters argued Dustin was being punished for speaking out. Authorities have not substantiated those claims publicly. Well, of course they wouldn't. His social media silence is raising alarms. For months, Dustin used social media to document his fight. Then suddenly everything went dark. Really weird when that happens, wouldn't you think? By late December 25, his Facebook presence vanished. His podcast pages were removed. Followers noticed immediately. Some speculated legal pressure forced him offline. Others feared something worse. Well, it takes me back to the possibility that he's in a witness protection program and they just shut it all down. That's just pure speculation on my part, of course, but multiple individuals report speaking with Dustin as late of December 27, 25, and possibly early January. According to those conversations, Dustin sounded stressed, but not suicidal. He reportedly believed his legal fight would continue. Then came the rumors. The rumors of death and suicide spread online. On January 5th, 2026, posts began circulating on Facebook claiming Dustin had died, some alleging suicide. We the People News reporter Jason Dye noted the rumors appeared to have surfaced yesterday, triggering widespread reaction. Many who followed Dustin strongly reject the suicide narrative. Comments flooding social media expressed disbelief, anger, and suspicion. Some claim knowledge of what really happened without providing evidence. Others openly accuse authorities of silencing him. A close friend, Shantae, posted a public message saying she missed Dustin deeply and emphasized that he only wanted to see his kids. The emotional response has been intense and polarized. What the authorities are and are not saying. As of now, no police department has confirmed his death. No public suicide report has been released. No 911 or dispatch records publicly reference an incident involving Dustin's death. No obituary or death record has surfaced, which that part is not true because it did a surface on January 5th, probably later the day that this was published. No official comment has been issued by Fenton Police or Genesee County agencies. WTPN has reached out for comment. None has been provided. Dustin's parents have also not responded to inquiries. The lack of verifiable information has only fueled speculation. The unanswered questions at this point, which are very reasonable and logical, at this stage, critical questions remain unsolved. Is Dustin Andovich alive? If deceased, where is the official confirmation? If a death occurred, why is there no public record? Why did his social media disappear before these rumors emerged? Why have authorities remained silent despite public concern? Until those questions are answered, any claim about suicide remains unverified. So there is a call for information, and this is an active investigative story. If you have any credible information about Dustin Andovich's whereabouts, recent contact, legal status, or any events tied to these rumors, please contact reporter at WTPN.news. Confidentiality will be respected. This published update on January 12th, which is the same day this previous report was uploaded. WTPN News confirms that an obituary for Dustin what's that? Dustin Lee Andovich, age 45, of Fenton, Michigan, was publicly released today by Sharp Funeral Homes, formally acknowledging his death on January 5th. Dustin was a graduate of Michigan State University, where he earned a Bachelor of Science in Electrical Engineering, later completed his master's at the University of Michigan. He worked in the technology sector, was widely regarded for his leadership and intellect, and was recognized as Crane's Detroit Business 40 Under 40 honoree. Outside of his professional career, Dustin was known for his deep love of Michigan outdoors, particular time spent hunting and fishing in the UP. He is survived by his 3 daughters, his mother, stepfather, and his brother. And what this update confirms is that Dustin's death is now officially acknowledged through an obituary. No cause or manner of death has been disclosed in any public or official document. No death certificate, medical examiner report, or law enforcement conclusion has been released to the public at this time. What remains unresolved? Despite the obituary's release, the critical investigative questions remain unanswered. Earlier today, WTPN reporters Jason Dye and Josh Bogus entered Fenton Township offices and spoke directly with the township deputy. That interaction, documented on video, confirms that the matter remains under investigation and that beyond a DOA classification, no additional official determinations were provided. WTPN has not identified any public record confirming suicide, homicide, or accidental death. And so I guess context does matter. Dustin was not only a technologist and father, he was also a constitutional activist. You hear that? Constitutional activist and organizer, deeply involved in efforts to expose government misconduct and to fight for reunification with his children amid prolonged family court alienation. For those who knew him personally or worked alongside him, the idea that Dustin would quietly take his own life is difficult to reconcile with his documented actions, plans, and ongoing advocacy. While speculation exists with informal circles, WTPN will not adopt an unspoken narrative absent verified facts. We extend sincere condolences to Dustin's family, friends, and especially his daughters. At the same time, WTPN News maintains its responsibility to distinguish between what is confirmed, what is assumed, what remains unknown. We will continue reporting only what can be verified. Further updates will follow as official records become available. So here's a developing story. Dustin Andovich's supporters say he refused to be silenced. Now his voice is gone and the silence is speaking volumes. WTPN News will continue reporting as facts emerge. Check out the next related update from 1/8/2026. So let me see. Here's this one that for him, his friend Shantea. No, that's not it. That's not the one I wanted. That's not the one I wanted. Well, it's not under review, Exenial. Clearly, the Genesee County Sheriff's Office is probably dragging their feet. If they had any involvement, which is, pure speculation in some circles, they're definitely not going to step up and do any official news conference. I would imagine that they're not going to do that, but we can watch this post here.
You listen here, you ugly fuck. I'm not surviving, I'm thriving. But I have to stay off the radar. I love you, dog.
Well, there he's clearly making a statement. No, he wasn't affiliated with 68 Shots. That 68 Shots is a fucking retard. But no, he's not affiliated with them. maybe I shouldn't call Justin Schatz a retard. He's just not very intelligent. Got himself into a world of hurt. Blocked me a long time ago. And then they associated with James Freeman and Abraham, which didn't do him any good. So that video right there is clearly giving some sort of idea. I don't know if you can read this over here, these comments over here. Yeah, these comments over here. These comments are from a week ago. You got to get into the all comments, which it still doesn't share all of the comments because Facebook is, Nazi central. He was such a force, made a lot bigger impact than he knew. Things of that nature. People supported him, and very rightfully so, because he definitely put the heat underneath the officials. And so let me click some of these posts, get rid of some of them, and pull up something else that I wanted to see here. Okay. But yeah, you can get back to this. This was from 18 hours ago. This one here. Let's see if you can see it. You can see it. This one from 18 hours ago. Let's check it out. See if anything. All right. So yeah, the Sharp Funeral Home obituary confirms that Dustin Lee Andovich, age 45, died unexpectedly on January 5th. This is where he goes into the reporter, Jason and Josh, go into the police department to seek more answers. Let's see what this video is here.
Yeah, it's a friend. His name's Dustin Andvichak, Ondvo. It's a goofy spelling.
A lot of people hasn't heard from him and asking the same question.
It was in Fenton?
Fenton Township.
He lived here?
Yeah, he supposedly shot himself in his parents' bathroom, and he's not a suicidal guy. He started those Swanstein files and Law for the Layman and stuff a while ago, advocating for his kid. You know what I mean? So I don't know. There could be foul play. He could be on the run. I don't know. He was supposed to be on tether last I knew. I talked to him like a week and a half ago, and he was still on tether. So I'm like, what the fuck, over? If you're on tether, I mean,
It just makes it
at
seem
least
more
the welfare
strange. There's
check.
no answers.
Well, let's see. What information are y'all looking for?
Just trying to. Well, first off, we haven't. There's no death, nothing reported. I know within 20. It's not a death certificate. It's something else. But within 24 hours, that's supposed to be reported. It's not. There wasn't an incident report. You know how sometimes you'll go out to and there's nothing that happened, but you still got to do your incident report. There's not that. There's not a police report. There's not shit. And you guys are the ones that would have responded.
So this video here that you're hearing was January 12th. The voice that you're hearing is saying that he spoke to Dustin a week and a half earlier, and he said he was on a tether.
To that being out here and
But
the
farthest
substation.
back we can track the information that we've got coming from was from a Flint City police officer that went to a social media group and got blasted across the internet, where everybody first, was like, oh man, where's, he's missing, what's going on?
Let's see if I can find something in here. I haven't heard about it.
Very weird. You would kind of be big news in Fenton Township, you'd think, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, guys. This shit ain't making any fucking sense. None at all. And we're gonna get to the bottom of it
You
right
said this
now.
was about a week ago.
Yeah, last
no.
Sunday, not like yesterday, but a week prior. Yes.
Let's see what I got in here.
I like that American flag there. That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, that's sick,
I
ain't
like
it?
it too. Yeah. Yep.
I like my "Don't Tread on Me" better, but it'll work.
Yeah, I'm not cool with the American battle flag. I don't give a fuck what it's made out of and how cool it looks. I don't support the American battle flag, the wartime flag. But yeah, Chicken Little, you would think that the tether GPS would be very easy to to track down. You know, I had a tether on not long ago. It wouldn't have been hard to find me.
All right, let's see here. What's his last name again?
ONDVOSIK. Pretty sure. If I spelled that wrong, put it in damn comments.
What day was last Sunday?
Mm-hmm.
Last Sunday would have been the 4th.
Yeah. We need a BOLA report. The hell's a BOLA report?
Be on the lookout.
All points Bolton.
Huh?
I get like an all points Bolton.
Yeah, it's Jennifer that said that, so she's not dumb.
Oh, here it is. It was taken. The report was taken on the 5th.
The report was taken on the 5th?
And I do not have permission to open that document. It says.
So the report.
Oh, he doesn't have permission to open that document. What's that? He's a Genesee County Sheriff deputy, and he can't open up a document on the internal computer. Look at that. That's pretty sketch.
It was taken on the 5th, and you don't have permission to open the document?
Yeah, that's what it says when I just tried to open it. So you would have to go downtown. Did y'all try downtown already?
Oh, we
We
talked right there.
have.
Find that a little sketch, guys? I find that to be a little sketch.
I just hear Swanson a little bit.
They got it locked up, so I can't get into it. But a report was taken on. Well, the report was a complaint number was taken for January 5th at 8:29 a.m. It does say DOA. So.
Oh, it does say DOA?
I mean, I'm sure it's still under investigation. That's probably why I can't open it. It's been passed on to a detective.
Right.
So usually when it gets passed on to a detective and they start their investigation, a deputy usually can't open it.
Wouldn't there be, if it's DOA, wouldn't there be a death report or morgue report?
Yeah, something at the morgue or something. There's nothing.
They must still be investigating it.
Okay, so that might be not disclosed to the public for the investigation.
Yeah.
All right, well, we're just trying to.
Oh,
understand.
shit. So it ain't looking good, guys. Ain't looking
No,
good at
no,
all. I
that's
was
some
hoping
bad
he cut
news.
his tether and was on the run.
Yeah.
Yeah. This ain't looking good. I'm not 100% going to confirm it yet, but it's looking like
That's all
We're-
I can tell y'all.
yeah, I
That's
get
all
it.
I can do.
Appreciate you, man.
Appreciate you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
No problem.
yeah. Well,
Sorry about you said y'all were friends though.
Yeah.
Sorry about your friend.
yeah, he was advocating and things like that. So there's definitely some nutty shit going on everywhere. All right. Well, I appreciate it, man.
Y'all are very welcome. Yep.
All right. Well, you guys heard it here live. So here we go. Appreciate
Take
you.
care. Have a good
Yeah,
day.
you
All
too,
right.
man.
Be blessed.
Well, there's a little something there. What's happening? Scissors. So yeah, that's little more sketch stuff there. So we can watch this video. She posted this, or Jeremiah Thompson posted this. It says they killed a man for telling the truth, didn't try to run over a cop or anything. That was a crime. I don't know what that means, but
And if this is true, that this is my friend Dustin, and if this is true, that he's not on this planet anymore, I want answers from the FBI because he was working with you. He was going to you guys, showing you the corruption in Flint. He had the numbers. He had so many numbers of insider funding for the corruption that was keeping him from his children. And I was talking to one of my friends the other day who also went to the FBI. This is concerning. We're not allowed to record you when we're giving our cases.
well,
But there's nothing to
that's not quite true, because I was being interviewed by the FBI in 2019 due to some scumbags on the internet, and I was allowed to record it, but I declined to record it out of respect because they were recording it. And I filed a FOIA request in 2020 in early January. And I received one response from them about the FOIA. telling me that it was going to cost, some money, and if I was willing to pay whatever fee it was to acknowledge that, and they would process it, and it would take up to a year. Okay, well, January 2020 to this is January 2026. Do you think that I got a recording from the FBI? No. I haven't heard hide nor hair from them. And when I sent several emails to them saying, what's the status? And they ignore me.
Hide, we should be able to record you when we give our cases. Where's my friend Dustin? I hope this isn't true and that he's in protective services right now. You guys, this is my friend Dustin.
Look at that. I'm not the only one that thinks that he was in protective services. This girl thinks that too, possibly. So there's a lot of speculation out here. There's a lot of unanswered questions. So we're not quite sure. And we can see with this, donate to fight corruption in Genesee County. I don't know if you can see this. Donate to fight corruption in Genesee County, law for the layman, organized by Dustin Andovich. Let's see if this is still active. Oh, fundraiser not found. Fundraiser not found. Look at that. Shocker. Shocker, right? Okay. Okay, so let's start with people overdosing and dying in the jail and being treated casually. And I'm talking about inmates. Where is Dustin Andovich? You want me to keep going? Here's that video you guys seen earlier. All right, so this one was yesterday. This is who believes Dustin ended his own life? I do not. He gave me no indications he was considering this when we were privately speaking last year. He was determined to keep exposing the RICO. And if you guys don't know what RICO is, that's called the racketeering that, some people claim that they're uncovering racketeering, but they ain't doing nothing but, like I said earlier, shitting and falling back in it. I've been uncovering the racketeering going on in Oakland County, Macomb County, and Wayne County. You think that me uncovering the racketeering, and it's not only in the county, the state of Michigan passed a law which you could justifiably say that it was nothing more than a RICO violation. Passing the clean slate law in the state of Michigan wasn't to give ex-convicted felons a break in life. It was to, what word should I use? It was to protect themselves from civil liability when these individuals filed civil suits against the state of Michigan. So they preempted the potential lawsuits by passing the clean slate law. They only passed the clean slate law because the counties like Oakland County, Macomb County, and Wayne County all started their conviction integrity units. And ironically, the same individual, the same corporate lawyer, is the one who started the programs in each of the counties. You'll have a county, you'll have Macomb County where the prosecutor will claim that he started it. No, that's not true. The corporate lawyer that I'm very well familiar with started it. And once they realized that they were going to be overwhelmed with people asking for reviews of their convictions, because here in the state of Michigan, in the mid to late 90s, there was an explosion of the prison population. And majority of those convictions were wrongfully obtained, like mine was. And when I speak out about my wrongful conviction, and they committed fraud and a bunch of other things, they don't like it. That's why Macomb County came to my home back in may, due to me being online talking about the corruption, and then some scumbag on YouTube called the sheriff and was saying that I was making false fucking threats and whatnot. So then the Oakland County Sheriff contacted the Macomb County Sheriff to get him to come do a welfare check at my home. When they came, they didn't do a welfare check. They questioned me and asked me if I was going to start an insurrection. And then the incident report doesn't reflect that they asked me if I was going to start an insurrection, even though I have the body cam footage to prove it. So when I raised these issues up with the sheriff's department because they falsified the incident report, they didn't like it because I was ruffling feathers. So, yeah, real whistleblowers. And you guys wonder why, Macomb County is out to get me? It runs deep here. Me, my friends have been dealing with the corruption in Macomb County for a very, very long time. I have a friend of mine who was exonerated through the University of Michigan Innocence Project, and he ended up suing after 12 years of incarceration for a conviction that was wrongfully obtained upon an innocent man. So that's who my lawyer is right now, one of my friend's multiple lawyers. So yeah, when you try to force them to have transparency and to be held accountable, they will retaliate against you, and they'll use some fucktard whistleblower in the world to facilitate their mission. Who knows what happened to Dustin here? They could have used some fucktard to facilitate their mission to silence him. Anything's, possible out here. And if any of you don't understand the magnitude of the corruption that we're all facing every day, you have no idea. You might as well put your head back into the sand, because that's where that'll be a nice place for it, because then you won't have to deal with it. So let's get back to reading this one from Heather Bendel. He gave me no indications that he was determined to keep exposing the RICO violations, which is federal crimes for racketeering. One thing you guys got to understand is that these governments, they're corporations. They're for profit. They're businesses. They're not de facto. They are de facto corporations. They're not de jure governance entities. There's a difference between a de jure governance and a de facto government. And this is what you're dealing with. And when you start talking about sovereignty and regaining your individual sovereignty, people want to go, "Oh, you're crazy. That's just sit nonsense." Well, you're dealing with corporations here. You're not dealing with true governance. There's a big difference. So he met with FBI in Michigan, then went completely dark on the internet. Nope, this is not what it seems. I truly enjoyed his Law for the Layman podcast. Rest in peace, Dustin. I appreciated our friendship. Feeling shocked with Justice for the Serlich Children, nonprofit 501c3, and Pete Arnold. So let's see what his obituary said here. Let's take a look at this. You can read this. You can see this. Yeah, you can. Okay. All right. So he was born on July 17th, 1980. January 5th, 2026 is when he deceased, allegedly. 45. Fenton passed away unexpectedly. The family will gather privately with a memorial for friends announced at a later date. He was born in Bay City, graduated from Michigan State University, Bachelor of Science, Electrical Engineering, earned an MBA from the University of Michigan. He went to both. He was a U of M and Michigan State. He was at war with himself every day. He spent his career working in technology. He was known for his intelligent leadership. Outside of work, Dustin found peace in the outdoors. Dustin is survived by his daughters, Lily, Sophie, and Maddie. His mother, Linda, and her husband, Craig, his brother, Nick, he was preceded in death by his father, Michael. Tributes and memorials may be shared at the Sharp Funeral Homes. So, yeah, it's pretty clear that, you know, there's at least some inclination that he's having a funeral of sort. So let me pull up Pacer and see if I can't pull up his civil suits. If you give me a second here. And let me see if I can't. Yeah, crap. Oh, there we go, Pacer. Let me see if I can't get into here. Log in. I'll be pulling it up on the screen in a second. Let me spell his name correctly. It's a little tricky name. Ondovcsik. Dustin. They said that there's a lot of cases. So let me see. Let me put his middle name in. Might not pop up. I might have to change a few things. But let's see. All right, there's one case that popped up. Let me share this with you. We can all look at it together. Right, yep, there we go. Okay. Let me see. Can you see this? Yes, you can. So let's do this together. Here we go. This is the only case that I found. Let's make sure it's him. It's in Genesee County. Again, yep, this is it. So let's open up the complaint and let's read his complaint against the Genesee County Family Court. All right, Dustin Leondovich, plaintiff Justin Hayes, Michael Dickinson, Joshua Herms, Robert Doman, and Mark Wing, and Genesee County. Attorneys for the plaintiff, John T. Alexander. See, there's one of the things that you can do is you can look up many lawsuits for each county, but they have lawyers up the wazoo. So anyways, now comes the above named plaintiff by and through his attorneys of Alexander and Angelis hereby complains against the above named defendant as follows. Let's get into all of the general allegations. That the plaintiff realleges and incorporates reference in paragraph 1 through 5 that are on or about said date, plaintiff Dustin Leondovich was taken to the Genesee County Jail. While in the booking area, plaintiff Dustin was questioned by defendants, at which time the plaintiff inquired whether he was required to respond. At no time did plaintiff physically resist or was a threat to the defendants. The defendants bound the plaintiff to a restraint chair as punishment for not answering questions. The plaintiff yelled that the straps were too tight and he could not breathe. Rather than loosen the straps, the defendants contacted a nurse who was unable to immediately respond. That after some time, the nurse finally checked on the plaintiff and she loosened the straps. Defendant strapped plaintiff in too tightly, causing physical injury, emotional injury, post-traumatic stress disorder. The plaintiff complained that the straps were too tight and he could not breathe. The straps were eventually loosened. The plaintiff was eventually released from the restraint chair after approximately 40 minutes, then was incarcerated in an isolation cell or solitary confinement for approximately 3 days. The above mentioned actions amount to excessive force, punishment, and torture. At all relevant times, they are employed by the Genesee County. Count 1 is the use of a restraint chair and excessive force and no due process, 14th Amendment. Count 2, failure to intervene. The extent of the individual's defendants deny that they physically placed the straps on the plaintiff and are still liable for failing to intervene. Well, the defendants, count 3, intentional tort. The state law is intentional infliction of emotional distress. That's one of my claims in my civil suit. State law battery, which, they usually reject your state law claims and make you go to state court. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Wrongful arrest and detention. The plaintiff was arrested for allegedly owing child support. In fact, the plaintiff was not only current on his child support, but in fact, he had overpaid. Defendants did not have probable cause to arrest the plaintiff. Plaintiff was wrongfully placed in solitary confinement for approximately 3 days against his will. Count 5, County of Genesee. Failure to properly train their employees. The damages, approximate cause of the aforementioned violations suffered damages under state and federal. Physical injuries causing pain, disability and disfigurement, aggravation and pre-existing ailment or condition, medical expenses, loss of earning capacity due in future, mental anguish, fright and shock, denial of social pleasures, enjoyments, embarrassment, humiliation, mortification, post-traumatic stress disorder, exemplary damages, punitive damages, federal and attorney fees, federal law. Okay, so he demanded a jury, which is a typical civil suit. Not quite sure. Let's see here what the response was. Let's check it out. Can you see this? Yeah, you can see this. Let's see what the complaint, the summons and notice of appearance, waivers, order, notice of appearance, answer to complaint. Look at this. Suggestion of death. Answer to complaint. They sure didn't hesitate to get in there and tell him that he was dead 5 days later, did they? Or wait, 5, 6, a week later. Let's see what the answer to the complaint is. The answers to the complaints are typically pretty lame and not really, they don't really provide too much information. It just denies, admits, denies, admits, denies. So, like I said, here we are. Jurisdictional allegations, they, upon the information, blah, blah, denied as untrue. General allegations. Number 8, they admit. Denied. Paragraph 9 is denied as untrue. Allegation 10 is denied. Everything's denied, 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 denied. Denied, denied, denied. Everything is denied. Oh, it is admitted only at one point the straps were adjusted by a nurse. There's two admissions. The rest is denied, 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 denied. No response is required. That's another typical one that they throw. Denied, 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 denied. Denied. I'm sure most of these are going to be denied. Denied, 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 denied. Denied, 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 denied. Denied, denied. Denied, denied. They claim they don't know nothing about it. Insufficient. No knowledge. Denied, denied. Denied, 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 denied. Like I said, everything's denied. They deny everything. You can have it on video, and they'll deny every bit of it. The defendant's affirmative defenses. This is what the corporate lawyers would say. This is the corporate lawyers always go this route. The plaintiff failed to state a claim. That's a typical fucking thing. May have failed to mitigate his damages. Approximate cause of any of the injuries suffered will result in voluntary misconduct, criminal acts of the plaintiff. Claims may be barred by the applicable statutes of limitations or latches, which is not true. They just put all this normal shit in here to cover their asses in every which way or shape or form. The defendants did not breach any duty owed, failed to state a legally cognizable claim against them. It's just the same typical bullshit, And if you don't understand the civil aspect of all of this, corporate lawyers are some of the biggest fucking scumbags on the earth, if you didn't know that. So unfortunately, that's the only case that he has in here. I could probably change his name just to Dustin, take his middle name out, and it might pop up another case, because they said that he had another one. But this one here, let's go down here. That was the answer. They set discovery rules, which is typical. Just telling you the date and time of everything. This is from I believe this is the judge. Yeah, a paralegal to the plaintiff. It's case evaluation, anticipated motions, all this. It's just typical stuff that they put in a lawsuit. And then scheduling order, notice of appearance, and then let's go to the suggestion of death. Let's go to 3 pages or 17 pages, or no, that's document 17, excuse me. 3 pages. Let's view both. See what this says. Take a minute. Can you see this? Yes, you can. Let's blow it up a little bit so you can see it better. How's that, guys? Is that better for you? So the suggestion of death. Now comes plaintiff Dustin Leondovich by and through his attorney's law office of Alexander and Angeles, and pursuant to federal rule of civil procedure, hereby files a suggestion of death upon the record and states as follow. Plaintiff in this action upon information and belief died on or about January 6th. See Exhibit 1, the obituary. That this suggestion of death is filed to formally notify the court and all parties of death. A motion for substitution of the proper party, if any, must be made within 90 days after service of the suggestion of death, which means that if he wants to, the lawyers or his family want to sue on behalf of the estate and add his children, then that's what they have a little window to do that in. And so let's see what this other one is. Let's see what this one is. I think this might be the exhibits. Oh, we looked at that one, didn't we? Oh, Exhibit 1, here we go. There's his Sharp Funeral Home, his obituary. So his estate, his children are going to have to step up with this. So anywho, that's what's going on here. And I thought there may be more civil suits in the record. I could probably pull up his criminal record in Genesee County and see what they were doing to him. But nonetheless, this is just a typical situation when it comes to these corporate bastards that do the shit that they do. They are corrupt. They are criminals. There are an ungodly amount of them that are criminals. Let me show you something about, oh, what the hell was his name? All right, let me type it in real quick and I can pull him up on Pacer. It's a guy that won the largest civil jury verdict in the state of Michigan. Man wins largest civil jury verdict in Michigan history. This will pull up. Should pull up pretty quick. Oh, no, that's not it. Is that it? 75 could be in the cash. Nope, that ain't it. $36 million. Wait, I gotta put in the right word. There, this is one. I have to put this in here to get it to pull up. For police misconduct. Now, well, there's a new one since then, huh? Wow, look at that. Yeah, a new one since. Wow. Guess he doesn't hold the record no more. The jury awards $60 million on Michigan prosecutor sexual assault. Wow. Where is it at? 8 figures. Former police. Oh, where is it at? 58. That ain't it. 58. That ain't it. Well, there must have been a lot more after that. Look at that. Guess it's old news now. Man, 36 million. That's what he won. See if it'll pop up this way. William Jennings. That's it right here. All right. Yeah. William Jennings. Now it'll be easier to pull him up. So this is in Genesee County. This man, William Jennings, I know the story because I was going to hire the attorney who took this case, but I didn't. Let me see, where is it at? All right. Here it is. There we go. There we go. Let's pull this up. Let's share this story. Let you check this out. It's just, I wouldn't say ironic, but it's pretty clear that Genesee County is quite corrupt. So there's a $36 million verdict against the Genesee County sheriffs for beating a prisoner. This is what they did to him. And let me give you a little detail in it that you won't get from mainstream media because, they always get the story wrong. This man, William Jennings, it takes you back to he was hanging out in a local watering hole and friends with the employees, a bartender. I believe the story goes that a off-duty sheriff's deputy hanging out in the bar, getting drunk, harassing the bartender sexually, and William Jennings stood up for the bartender, his friend, and said, "Why don't you get the fuck out, blah, 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 you're an asshole, yada, yada, yada." And so he bruised the little deputy's ego, and in retaliation, William Jennings was later pulled over and accused of being drunk. Not that night, another days later, was pulled over for alleged drunk driving. He was taken to the Genesee County Jail, never given any sobriety test, never anything to do with drunk driving. They took him into jail and literally beat the shit out of him. And they locked him up for, overnight, let him out the door, didn't charge him with anything. He filed to get the jailhouse records, the cameras and all that, a couple of months later. And then they all of a sudden charged him with drunk driving. So he ended up getting, a lawyer and sued, and he won $36 million in a jury verdict, which at the time, which was 2016. Apparently, there's been several other landmark jury verdict, amounts. He won $36 million from the jury, and the judge on the case didn't like that, and he threw that amount out. I'm not quite sure how a judge can undermine a jury's ruling or verdict, I should say, but they do it because they're all in cahoots together. So this $36 million case was tossed out, and William Jennings decided that he was going to take it to trial again and possibly get a larger verdict. Well, the insurance company didn't want to take that chance. So immediately after the trial, when William Jennings' attorneys notified, that they were going to file, or not file, but have another trial, because that's their right to do that, the insurance company offered $12 million to settle immediately. So he took the $12 million, and then William Jennings took a large portion of his settlement, or not settlement, but his winnings, and bought the Lapeer Dragway. Spent $1 million and bought a quarter-mile racetrack in Lapeer that was kind of mothballed for a long time, and he invested a lot of money into it. And so if I was him, I would have got the hell out of Michigan, but he ended up buying the Lapeer Dragway. So here's a couple of pictures of what they did to him. They strapped him down to a bed, got him, handcuffed or leg cuffed here, got him strapped down here, face down, and just torturing the guy. Just torturing him. So a federal jury says what happened to William Jennings while in jail is worth $36 million. I asked them for $16 million. This is the lawyer. And I think they thought the conduct was extremely outrageous and returned a verdict that exceeded what we asked for. I thought I was going to die, said Jennings. Jennings was admittedly, he was drinking. But anyways, he was drunk driving. His blood alcohol was nearly twice the legal limit. Nonetheless, it was still a retaliation issue. The entire ordeal was caught on jailhouse cameras. The attorney says the video in this case is so crucial. In fact, he said without the jailhouse video, he wasn't even going to take the case. During what Williams calls an aggressive pat-down, he removed his hand from a wall and was beaten, pepper sprayed, tased, and left in the cell for hours with a spit mask over his face. I ended up busting my tooth chewing a hole in the mask so I could breathe, said Jennings. After a 12-day trial, 12 days, holy shit, in 8 hours of jury deliberation, the jury awarded him a life-changing sum of money, $36 million. Jennings says the money is great, but likely won't fix all of his problems. I am not the same person. I never will be. Can you put a number on that? I don't know. Who in the chat just asked, what's your life worth? Zenio. Did you just say? Yeah, what are you worth? Zenio. So you're hearing firsthand account from a guy who went through this, who won $36 million. And he admittedly says, I am not the same person, and I never will be. Can you put a number on that? I don't know. He's hopeful real change will happen at the Genesee County Jail. Well, clearly it hasn't, because, you have deaths happening. I've dug up several suits in multiple counties in the area that I have here in my files, which are easily accessible on the Pacer website there. Every officer that we asked said they would do exactly the same thing all over again. So the lawyer said every officer that they asked said that they would do exactly the same thing over again. So they admitted that they would beat the shit out of another person without hesitation. A year prior to his arrest, Jennings, a similar incident happened to someone else in that same jail cell. That case was settled out of court for a fraction of the money. Fox 2 attempted to speak to the sheriff to get his response, but our calls were not returned. So if this doesn't give you a little inclination of what's going on in Genesee County, Oakland County, Macomb County, Wayne County, and in every county in the state of Michigan, and in every county in this country. You might want to think again, because every one of these officers that were involved in this should have been put in prison. They should have been criminally charged for this. This isn't something that could just go away because they gave him some money. They should have been charged for doing what they did to this man. But why are these law enforcement officers and these jailers never held accountable for their despicable, outrageous, egregious, and a blatant disregard for human safety? I could read you some cases out of Oakland County that I have here in my computer that I've been sitting on for a long time, waiting to do what it is that I do when I get done with being harassed by whistleblowers and journalists and law enforcement in this fucking state. When I get done with what I'm dealing with, I'm going to start taking care of my unique content. And I'll start showing the public what's really going on behind the jails. I'm not going to show you the arrests and stuff like the civil rights attorney shows you and audit to audit shows you and lackluster. I'm going to go past that. I'm going to go and show you what happened with the civil suits. That'll be my focus. Then I'm going to speak to these individuals. I'm going to get in contact with some of these people if they're willing to speak and conduct proper interviews. Then go and meet them in person. Things of this nature. So if anybody wants to steal my idea, you go right fucking ahead. There's plenty of it to go around. So one particular case in Macomb County of this female. Well, let's rewind a little bit. The lawyer that took that Jennings case, Kevin Ernst, not him. I spoke to another lawyer. Dean was his name. His last name was Dean. And Ernst, they were partners on this. And during conversations with me, he told me that Oakland County just settled out of court with one of his clients for $250,000. He said all he did was filed a notice of intent and told him that he was filing a lawsuit, and they immediately settled out of court without any desire to fight it. And it was a young woman who was taken to jail, and a deputy went into her phone while it was in their custody, found nude photographs of herself, and he texted them to himself from her phone. And so she filed a civil suit, or was going to file a civil suit, and they settled out of court for $250,000. So this is the kind of shit that these deputies do, is they rifle through your items, they snoop through your cell phone. So if any of you women have any nude photos in your phone and you happen to get arrested in any state, any county, anywhere in this country, or anywhere in this world for that matter, I hope that you have a passcode on your phone and you lock it down and don't allow them to get into it. Because if they can get into your phone, they're snooping like fucking motherfuckers. And another case where a young woman was arrested in Oakland County and she was taken to jail. And I can't even begin to tell you what occurred, but they literally tortured this woman because she had anxiety. They tortured her to the point, they scared her to death, not literally, but scared her to the point where she urinated on herself while in custody with their yelling and screaming at her. Imagine if you've never been in trouble before in your life and you're just caught up in a situation, whether it's due to your own mistake or whatnot, and you go to jail and If you've never been to county jail, you are in for a rude awakening, any of you. And I could show you an individual, a woman that I was in a relationship with briefly in my life, who later on was charged with, I'm not exactly sure, resisting some ridiculous charges in Macomb County. And they literally drove this woman that I used to have a relationship with back in the day. They drove her to suicide. Seriously. She committed suicide because of what Macomb County Sheriff's deputies did to her in the Macomb County judicial system. And I will showcase that story another day. I brought that little pieces of it earlier in another live stream a while back. But when I sit down and I start focusing on my content, and I get away from these fucking whack jobs on the internet, and I get back to my peace of mind that I had for 3 fucking previous years until what's fucking driving me up a goddamn wall right now, there will be no fucking more distractions from any of these motherfuckers online. Well, they won't fuck with me if they don't know where I'm at, now will they? So, nonetheless, everybody in this country who votes, who buys into the left-right paradigm bullshit, you're giving them permission to do these things to us, to each other, to have this corporate structure. We need to get rid of this corporate structure, the de facto corporations known as government, and get back to the constitutional republic where sovereign men ruled this land. That would be the de jure governance. So when I do get back to my regular content broadcasting, I'm going to bring a combination of showing you what these corporate entities do to my fellow Americans and the torture and the destruction that they cause, because they've sold us out. Starting from law enforcement all the way up, they have sold us out. Law enforcement officers are more worried about their pension and their brotherhood than they are you. I shared a video. Let me share this one real quick, and then I'm going to get out of here. Let me see if I can't pull it up. Let me see if I can't pull it up. Shared it on my page not long ago. Here it is. Let me pause this real quick. So let me share this heartfelt, really touching story. It's not, I don't mean touching like, oh, boo-hoo-hoo, I'm so, no, it's more like, it makes my blood boil. And if you watch this and it doesn't make your blood boil, then I'm going to have to say that you might be a part of the problem. And I don't think any of you in here are going to say, fuck that guy. But check this out. Listen to this story. It's a little long, but you're going to want to hear it. It'll take me into, all right, it'll take us to 2 hours and I'll get out of here. Check it out.
Good afternoon. Some of you already know who I am. My name is Brian Campbell.
Let me start out with, Go Bama! if you know what I'm talking about. You see the hat there? Roll Tide! Go Bama!
I've lived in Hanceville 62 years, and I was a victim
Hanceville, Alabama.
of this police department. I will preface my remarks
Look at him shaking already. He's so upset he's shaking.
by saying, not one day, not 1 minute in my life have I ever been in any kind of trouble. Maybe a speeding ticket. On May the 20th, 2023, I was caring for my wife. Some of you know me. I've known some of you since you were children. I was caring for my wife with Alzheimer's and my disabled daughter. On that day, an incident happened at my residence. Hanceville was dispatched. 2 officers approached my home, and I didn't know why they were there. I inquired why they were there, did not get a response, so I proceeded to close the door to my house. Upon doing so, one of the officers took his foot, jammed it in the door, and forced his way into my home.
That's a violation of your constitutional right. When a cop sticks his foot in your door, he's crossing the threshold. That's from the curtilage of your house. We could resort to the civil rights attorney and we could pull up that shit, but trust me, they don't have the right to do it. You know, without a exigent circumstances or a valid warrant for his arrest, they violated his constitutional rights. Keep listening.
Asked me to step outside. Upon which time there were 2. One of them was very professional. I have told him countless times how.
Yeah, but he failed to intervene, so he wasn't very professional. He might appear professional on the surface to this man who's been a law-abiding citizen, and he doesn't really have an issue with law enforcement, but he doesn't recognize the fact that all cops, by default, are bad cops if they don't intervene with the rotten apples, the bad apples.
I was so pleased with the way he behaved. The other one was the officer from hell. He's not currently on this force because during all this, I prevailed in a lawsuit that took over 1 year and $17,000 of my money to defend myself. That officer hit me from behind, which I can't hardly still walk, with his knee, took me to the ground and beat me mercifully. My attorneys have the photographs. Coleman Hospital has the records.
I'd like to get a hold of this old guy and have a conversation with him and bring him onto my channel.
I was handcuffed, and
you see how many comments are over here? 42,000, nearly 43,000 comments.
Roughed up really bad. Placed in a police vehicle. It was May, so it wasn't very hot. It was not running. No air conditioning on, but I began to hyperventilate. I'm a 2-time survivor of cancer and a heart patient. While I was in that vehicle, when one of them finally returned to the vehicle, I was in real bad shape. An ambulance was dispatched.
It only gets better. Xenial. Don't be a spoiler alert, Xenial.
And the paramedics. Well, the only problem I had was I couldn't breathe. Once I got air, I was fine. I was then taken by the officer who brutally beat me up to Hanceville jail. On the way to the jail, and I was never allowed to explain anything to him. I was never told I was under arrest. I was never told anything till I got on my way. Well, actually, till I got here. On the way, that officer said to me, "Men like you are nothing but pieces of human increment." And that's not the word.
The cop told him that men like you are nothing more than pieces of shit. And I would argue that that was nothing more than a confession through projection. That's what I would say. The cop confessed his projection.
Word to use. I was married to my wife 52 years. I never touched her, ever. The incident involved, and I was trying to tell them with her Alzheimer's, she didn't know what she was doing and tried to exit the vehicle while moving. I pulled her back by her hair, and I was so I admitted to that.
So what happened? He was driving down the road. His wife with Alzheimer's tried to get out of the car. He grabbed her by the hair and he pulled her back in. And somebody on the road, some fucking Karen or Darren sticking their nose in people's business, called the police.
That constituted, in your officer's opinion, domestic violence. Anyways, and that was all perpetrated by a 911 call where the person hung up. When I got to the jail, my abuse continued. Maybe it's procedure, I don't know. I was handcuffed to a bench right out there for 3 hours. I say this somewhat shamefully, but I'm a cancer survivor and I'm incontinent. And while I was there, I desperately need to go to the bathroom. I requested from the officer, and you know, the city hall is right down the hall. And I was handcuffed, was denied. I urinated on myself. Then I was placed in filthy rags.
Talk about an embarrassment. Good Lord.
And I'll tell you, I've traveled all around this world, and that's no lie. As a buyer for a major retailer, I've been in every country you can imagine. The facilities in this jail, and I hope they've changed, were filthy. Were feces on the wall, feces on the water fountain, feces all over the floor. Looked like it hadn't been cleaned in 5 years. Have any of you ever went in that jail and looked at it?
Nope.
I don't care if you're a criminal, you deserve better treatment than that.
Yep.
I was denied food and water because on the way to jail, I said, why don't you just shoot me and take me out of my misery? I was put on suicide watch.
Oh, anything to torture the fucking man. Anything that these scumbag fucking bastards, yes, all cops are bastards. Anything to torture another fucking man. Talking about demonic entities with fucking illusory power and badges. Hey, keep voting for these fucktards.
No food, no water, no nothing. A kind lady jailer come up and had seen my record. She said, Mr. Campbell, I'll get you some water and they don't have to know. She said, I looked at your record. You've never been in any kind of trouble. I said, yes, ma'am. When I was younger, I got speeding tickets, but that's the extent of it. Long story short,
you need a license.
I finally talked to one of the 3 chiefs that's no longer here. This gentleman, chief, was a reasonable man. And I finally got to explain my story to him. And he was very empathetic. And I know it was only my word against your 2 officers. And he said to me, I will make a phone call and see what I can do. Because I found out that my stay would be 2 days in jail, 48 hours. And I was charged with 2 felonies, domestic violence and resisting.
It only gets better, ladies and gentlemen. Don't go nowhere. It's just begun.
I was told my bond was $2,000. So they proceeded to put me in that filthy jail. I spent the night in that jail. Next day, the chief did as he said. My magistrate came down. It was a Sunday. I had the money cash on me, $2,000. She said, pay your bond, and you can go home. I went to pay my bond, and this may be the procedure. If it is, I've never been in trouble. I don't know. But I was told, we cannot take cash on the weekend. So that told me you can't even trust your own police department.
Oh, really? Having trouble sharing this video, huh? Really? Having trouble sharing this video? Ain't that something? Oh. Let's see if I can't pull it back up.
Because I found out that my stay would be 2 days in jail. My magistrate came down. It was a Sunday. She said, pay your bond, and you can go home. I went to pay my bond, and this may be the procedure. If it is, I've never been in trouble. I don't know. But I was told, we cannot take cash on the weekend. So that told me you can't even trust your own police department with cash. But if you use a credit card, we'll let you go home. Reached in, got my credit card. Oh, but by the way, do you council members know this? It's $200 more if you use your credit card.
10% more.
So I paid. I'm ready to go home. By the way, by this time I was not allowed a phone call.
Let me tell you guys something real quick in relation. When I went to jail 2019, it was a $5,000 bond, 10%. cost me $500 to get out. I had $500, more than $500 in my wallet. Then you can bond yourself out. I told the deputies that I had the money in my wallet, and they ignored me. They took the money out of my fucking wallet on a Saturday and sent it off, allegedly, to the bank. Clearly, like Mr. As this gentleman says here, they can't be trusted with money in their own fucking possession. So I didn't get out until family member had to come and bond me out. Even though I had
never told anything about my charges. I called my son. Some of you know him.
It was just for me. It was just to fuck with me is all it was. Same thing probably for him.
He's an upstanding citizen, was once a manager of LP down here. He's now a private contractor. He said, Daddy, they're not going to let you go home. I said, what do you mean they're not going to let me go home? He said, well, they told me that you're going to be transferred to Coleman Regional. I said, why? They have you under a suicide watch. You have to be evaluated. So Sunday evening, and believe me, I'm no harm to anybody, and was certainly no threat to those two policemen. Neither one of them could have taken me easily. I'm at Coleman Regional. I'm kept overnight. When the doctors saw my beat up body, they asked me, what could have possibly happened? And I told them, the only good thing that came out of that is the nicer of the two officers was the one who transported me. On the way to the hospital, I said, young man, tell me how you could possibly think that he could think that I was resisting. His exact words, and I'll never forget them, because my wife and my wife was dying then. He said his perception was that you were resisting. I said, you were there. Long story short,
Long story short, he's not a good cop. The good one that transported you is just as bad as the one that put his knee in your back, Mr. McDonald.
Time for discovery. I didn't know anything about discovery. Paid two attorneys. They said, here's what's going to happen. They got to present their evidence, and you can present your evidence. Well, Kathy, and a lot of you know my wife, Kathy, a better woman never was. She was on her deathbed. And I called up my attorney, Johnny Berry, and I said, I'm supposed to be there. He said, Brian, don't worry about it. He said, me and Brandon will be there. You don't have to be there. So I stayed with my wife with hospice. I wasn't there. In the meantime, my wife died. A month and a day later, my daughter died. On the night I was sending pictures to the funeral home, two more Hensel officers came to my residence to arrest me again. They came to arrest me for bond forfeiture.
The night before his daughter's funeral.
Because I didn't show up on that court hearing. My attorneys were both there. They represented me. I paid them well. I'm making these arrangements and getting ready to be taken to jail. My daughter was being buried the very next day. Fortunately, I know Kenneth now. And I wasn't in any shape to call him, but my son Kevin called and he said, look, my daddy, we just lost my sister. You know, he's a good man. Anybody knows me. He said, they just leave him alone? Never told me what the warrant was for, by the way. Kenneth told him, or I don't know if it was Kenneth or who it was. Someone later told me, the chief told him to just go on and let me turn myself in. Okay, I called my attorneys and told them what happened. I still don't know what the warrant's for. I didn't know it was bond forfeiture. I go on to the cemetery and I bury my daughter. On that day that I buried my daughter, I went to Hensel down here to this courtroom, and that judge, who was a joke, that sat right there, read me the riot act and told me, had me handcuffed immediately and told me he's going to put me under the jail. You were remodeling, so I sat handcuffed out here in the hall for another 3 or 4 hours. During that time, I was told I was being arrested for bond forfeiture. I said, what bond? They said, well, you didn't appear for the discovery. No argument from my part would be heard, because I'm just an average citizen, like all these people here, an innocent average citizen. I was transported to county. I sat in county the night of my daughter, she was married, sat in county, and was going to be put in jail under no bond, zero, because I forfeited my bond, allegedly. My son knows the sheriff real well and the chief deputy. He called and he said, look, I don't know what's going on. And you know, I'm not going to say my dad's innocent or guilty, but we just buried my sister. And they were told me to disrobe, go take a shower, put me in the rubber shoes, or get ready to put me in the orange jumpsuit.
And the bam bam.
The desk deputy said, Mr. Campbell, today's your lucky day. And I'm thinking, you just don't know. It's 7 or 8 o'clock at night. I said, well, tell me. He said, you've been released, ROR. I think that's released on your own recognizance. And I was released. We come back in front of this same judge. It continues almost for an entire year at more financial expense. And I'll
God damn it.
conclude what I have to
What the
say by your police, untrained, uninformed, and you, like the lady before me said, you're the accountable ones. I was a manager of a major retail company, top level, and the buck stopped at me. The decisions to make these people in the
God damn it. Fucking Facebook, you cocksuckers. Fucking playing games, man.
who was a joke that sat right there, read me the riot act and told me. During that time, I was told I was allegedly. My son knows the sheriff real well. I'm not going to say my dad's innocent or guilty. And they refuse. Well, getting ready to put me in the orange jumpsuit, and the desk deputy said, Mr. Campbell, today's your lucky day.
Motherfucker.
And I'm thinking,
Goddamn.
you just don't know. It's 7 or 8 o'clock at night. I said, well, tell me. He said, you've been released, ROR. I think that's released on your own recognizance.
I should have screen recorded this.
And I was released. We come back in front of this same judge. It continues almost for an entire year at more financial expense. And
God damn it. Fucking, oh, you motherfuckers, man.
Lady before me said, you're at jail. Following each of you. Yes. And I ask again, have any of you ever looked inside that jail? And if it's changed, I'm shocked. But anyways, what I have to say don't amount to much, but I got my day and I could say my piece. My son said, well, at least 100 people said, you ought to sue him. Well, in the first place, I'm not the kind of man that sues anybody. I've never done anybody wrong in my entire life. I'm a Christian and I believe in treating people Christ-like. Amen. Okay? And I didn't want a pound of flesh, but I never got so much as I'm sorry this happened to you. And Mr. Sawyer, I've known you a long time. Another incident happened, and I had to come to my residence. At that time, you brought the new chief with you on this other issue. I told you a little bit about this story.
God damn it.
Your exact words to me in the conversation, what do you expect me to do? And my response was, so help me.
Motherfucker, man.
You got a Bible? I swear on it. I said, what I want you to do is clean up this town.
This goddamn Facebook, man. I'm so sick of their shit.
Clean up this mess. I said, the people of this town deserve it. I'm just one individual. And nobody really cares what I have to say. Imagine if it happened to you, losing your child and your wife, and then being drugged through this crap, and then financial expense on top of that. You know what your response was to me? Do you remember, Jimmy? I remember exactly the way. Well, if I'm dying, if I'm lying, I'm dying. You looked at me and said, that's why this man right here is the new chief. He is going to clean it up.
Oh, shit. Shit.
He cleaned it up, all right.
Yeah, he did.
And I would have never said another word about this. In fact, my son said, Daddy, don't sue him. You've been through too much. It's going to cost you money. It's going to cost you more hurt. I can barely walk as it is from the injury to my back from that officer. And I agreed with him after praying a
I'd have sued the fuck out of him. He probably still can.
lot on it. But when I saw this nonsense, I said, maybe my story's not good. And maybe they'll put me off as a fool like some other people that have stories. But I swear to God, every word I told you is the truth. One thing I left out. At that time, you had 8 police officers. Because the chief told me himself, you had 8. That day while I was sitting in that squad car in my driveway, and there's a man in this room that can testify to the fact who's my neighbor. 5 squad cars showed up, 7 of your 8 officers, and you would have thought I was a murderer or a drug dealer. Fact. Then one of them told my neighbor in this room, who I don't know if he's going to speak or not, but that night before I buried my daughter, or the funeral, when they came with that warrant, they left. My good neighbor came over to check on me, see if I was okay. When he was walking through my yard, and if I'm misquoting you, sir, you know who you are? He said, one of them officers stopped me, or I asked him what's going on. And he said, answer please. We're not through with Mr. Campbell yet. Is that professionalism? I say no. So I conclude my remarks. I love this town. I wouldn't have brought my family here and lived all this time if I didn't. And some of you lived here longer than I have. It just got to have an input to it. If it don't, it's just a continuation of the same thing. And it's happened too many times in my lifetime. And it got worse in the last 3 years. Anyways, I conclude my remarks. I appreciate your time. I hope this sinks in. Yes, I'm mad and angry and upset. Put yourself in my position. How would you feel?
Very good.
Can we get a round of applause for Brian Campbell? Funny that this city council here in Hansfield doesn't have a 3-minute time limit, right? Find that a little funny. So what do you mean, Xenial? You don't buy it now? What do you mean you don't buy it? You think he's lying? Come on now. Don't get all up in your feelers and your emotions and think that he's lying. He's a God-fearing man, a Christian. He said he swears that if he's lying, he's dying. I believe every word he's saying. So what you're challenging me to, he's a bit weird. He's an old dude. He's been through a lot. He's probably one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet in your life. The neighbor that, bring you over fucking cookies when you just move into his house or into the neighborhood. So do I got to get a hold of Brian Campbell of Hansville, Alabama? Oh, so because he ain't crying, huh? Okay. God, you guys ask for a lot, don't you? You want all the emotions to be all up in it. Come on now. Come on there, Xenial. But anyways, that's what we're dealing with here in this country. Shit like that. Innocent men and women being tortured with this with this type of video. I share it on my Facebook or whatnot, and I title it your mama, your daddy, your bald-headed granny, ain't none of you safe. Back to blue till it happens to you. And so what do I gotta do to show you guys? I'm just cracking on you a little bit here, Xenial. What do I gotta do to show you folks out here that this isn't an isolated incident? Now, when I tell you guys that your law enforcement has sold you out, they have sold us all out. Not with just the enforcing the laws and yada yada. what they have done. Let me break it down for you. Take a municipality. Let's just say the city of Detroit, who has, well, no, let's go with the city of Los Angeles that spends over 50% of its yearly annual budget on law enforcement. I could show you a guy on Facebook who has a page that's called I forget what it's called. It's on something about LAPD, and he goes around and he films the cops, and he's a real activist. He's a whistleblower, you know, not a YouTube whistleblower, not somebody who harasses people online constantly, calling them fucking names and accusing people of being something they're not and whatnot. He's an actual real whistleblower. And the man had a 22-year-old son who was murdered in a drive-by, and nobody was held accountable for it. So the annual budget of 52% is a lot of money. Let's just say it's $500 million a year. It's $500 million a year. Let's just throwing out some numbers here. And the annual budget used to be $300,000 or $300 million. And they've increased it almost 100%. So unions who represent these law enforcement officers are the ones who negotiate the contractual agreements with the municipalities. The unions want to get as much money out of these municipalities as they can, so they can in turn take a large portion of the money, the budget that they receive, the yearly annual budget, and put a large portion of that budget into their pension funds. And so those pension funds are the root of being sold out. Those pension funds cost a lot of money. If it wasn't for those, overinflated contributions to these pension funds, then there wouldn't be no need for 52% of a city's annual budget going to law enforcement, where they spend and they spend and they spend, and they need another $100 million before the yearly, the annual budget is to renew. So it goes from 500 million to 600 million. So let's just go with the 500 million. That money that goes into the pension fund is not just taken lightly by the municipalities. They're kind of put up against the wall, so to speak, and they're extorted to an extent that if they don't give these budgets, then law enforcement officers will bail. City of Los Angeles itself has an issue with hiring law enforcement, as it is going on all around the country, because people are, turning on law enforcement. They don't want to be law enforcement officers. So not everywhere, but it's happened. So those municipalities who expect a return on their investment require the unions to negotiate new contracts. In those contracts, the individual law enforcement officer is subject to provisions. You must do X, you must do C, you must do B, A, and G, which is do not let anybody off, prosecute everybody, arrest everybody, do not give anybody a break, put anybody and everybody through the system, whether it's your mama, your daddy, your bald-headed granny, and destroy their lives, send them through the system, where you just witnessed Mr. Campbell here talk about, granted it was 3 years ago, but Mr. Campbell here say how much money it cost him. Not only did it cost him money for attorneys, off work, if he's retired or he's not, his reputation, you name it. I'm sure he had to pay, something to the courts, whatever it was. I hope that he didn't take a guilty plea or accept a conviction. But nonetheless, my point is that these municipalities are dishing out large amounts of money for these budgets, and they're expecting a return on their investment because, like I told you earlier, they are corporations and they are businesses. And businesses do not pass out money without getting in return on their investment. So your buddy, your pal, your next door neighbor who's a cop, and you go, oh, my buddy's a cop. They'll never tell you what's in those contracts because they're, part of the thin blue line, and it's a brotherhood. So they don't reveal the realities of it. That's what it boils down to, is when I say that they're traitors, they are traitors to freedom, and they're prosecuting an arrest, or they're arresting and jailing people and beating them and whatnot. And then at the end of their career, they get massive pensions, much, much larger than you or I will ever get in any corporation. I have a brother of mine who retired from Ford's. 30 years. His pension was like $3,200. But since the unions in Ford negotiate the pensions, and my brother's pension has gone down, it hasn't gone up, and it is offset by Social Security. But if you're a law enforcement officer and you serve your community and you put in 25 years or whatnot, you'll get a very, very hefty pension. I have somebody that I know who retired from the department. If any of you watched me do the video on Brock Setti, the Clinton Township police officer who punched out the eye of that one guy, and he cost the taxpayers $4 million settlement, or not settlement, but a jury verdict. I know a guy, I hesitate to call him a friend, from the Clinton Township Police Department, did 25 years, worked his ass off. I guess he deserves it, but he gets over $80,000 a year pension. And then he milks the United States military, claiming that he's suffers from post-traumatic stress disorder, and the veterans give him another $12,000 a year. So he's making close to $100,000 a year in pension. My brother worked his ass off in a sweaty ass factory for 30 years, and he barely gets $3,000 a month. And that's Ford Motor Company. So when I say that your neighbors, our fellow countrymen, have sold us out, this is what I'm telling you. You think I'm full of shit? That's good for you. So, anywho, that was, how'd you like the stream? Was it interesting? Was my expose of a whistleblower, a real, true journalist whistleblower, was that original content? Or, technically I was just sharing somebody else's, so I guess I plagiarized a little bit. But overall, what do you think of this stream, guys? Was it worth the 2 hours of time you spent here hanging out? What do you think? I'm being facetious. I really don't care what others think. I really don't. But when I get to my intended content and I start producing said content, it'll be in shorter form. I'll do, less than 2 hours. I'll put it together, and I'll put the stories in a Cliff Note version and break it down, and I'll share the link so you can go read it and whatnot, blah, 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 wazzy, boo, boo. But when I sit here and I see these videos and I understand why these things occur, or how do they occur? I asked that question. Well, how do they occur? If you're asking yourself that question, how do these things occur with law enforcement? How do they get away with it? You want the simple answer, or do you want the long drawn out version? The simple answer is that we are, as United States citizens, we are owned property. You might want to plug your ears, cover your eyes, cover your mouth, and hear no, see no, speak no evil. But I'm telling you right now, with all of the information that I've accumulated, and I've been accumulating a lot of information over the last 40 years off and on, we are owned property as 14th Amendment slaves. I follow a guy, and I hesitate to use the word follow. I pay attention to a lot of people, but I pay attention to an individual in the sovereign movement. And he's probably the most thorough and most, I would say he's arrogant. You know, he's very intelligent, and he's dedicated his life. Clearly, he's dedicated his life to digging through the sea of bullshit that we're all swimming in. And he's done a damn good job at picking it apart. And if you want to learn more about the sovereign status and maybe dig in a little deeper than what I'm sharing right now, go on Facebook, go on YouTube, and look up a man named Brandon Joe Williams. And by all means, tell him Lee Yeagerman sent you on Facebook, or Bad Apple Media, aka Lee Yeagerman on Facebook. And let him know that I give him props. One thing that I can say about him that I can really, really appreciate is that he doesn't charge a penny. He doesn't ask for one penny. He doesn't ask for donations. He doesn't ask for anything. Matter of fact, he wrote a book. And maybe I should buy some of them books, maybe get them directly from him, or go through Amazon, get it on paperback, or maybe I would buy some, if you have Kindle, and you can get a download version of it, but I could get a paperback version, and maybe I should start giving away copies of that book that he has, and directing you guys to his video series that'll kind of introduce you to what's going on. In the past, I've shared the website that I personally have dubbed it. It's not them. I dubbed it the Bible of God-given liberty, which it's a 470 page PDF. I've shared some of it on here in the past. Yeah, that's it. One stupid fuck. That's Brandon. He's the Pickletarian. He's in the Amnesty Coalition. And you might find him arrogant, but you might find him cocky. You might find him a little rude, obnoxious. But just set that all aside and listen to what he teaches. Go onto his YouTube page, for any of you who want to know, and go through his playlist. I believe it's in his playlist. I can share it now, but I won't. Go to his playlist and look up his videos. There's probably 30 something videos. I think there's like 34, 35 videos. It's called the Contract Killer Course. And listen to the videos individually and pay attention to what's being said in the videos, and then reach out to him, send him an email, ask him to send you the 2.0 version. So if you don't do Facebook, he's right here on YouTube. Doesn't do you much good while you're in the UK, though. So it gives you an idea. If you're in the UK, it doesn't apply, but at least you can learn and you can apply those in the techniques and the information to your own structured system over there. But nonetheless, you get into the video series of the 2.0 and you'll expand your information a little more. He says that he's in the process of producing 3.0, and he's kind of made a lot of gurus out here in the sovereign community look a little silly, and he's, in my opinion, he's surpassed them with decoding, picking apart the system. Hey, what's up, Cammed Up Caveman? Didn't see you in here. How you doing, buddy? Matter of fact, let me pull up one little post that he had done, if I can find it real quick. Let me see if I can find it. He was talking about the IRS, and I didn't share it, so I'll have to pull him up real quick. And you'll see what I mean by his logic. His logic is way beyond the usual guru. Here, I'll share his Facebook page. I know that Xenial says she doesn't do. I didn't just close that, did I? Damn it. Let's see. I think I did. Oh, here it is. All right. So we'll go right here. This is Brandon Williams' Facebook page. He calls himself One Stupid Fuck. And this is pretty much his page. This is Brandon right here. And he posts a lot. So let me see if I can't find right here. This one right here. In the sovereign movement, when you correct your status and you become a state national, you can go to your human resources or your employer, whoever, and you could correct your W-4 and your I-9 and have no taxes taken out of your federal and possibly your state exemptions, and you get your full paycheck minus your Social Security and your FICA. And so this right here, I read it this morning and I was like, I loved it. You can see right here, down here, where I actually loved this comment. Excuse me. And I'll read it to you. He says, they just released a new W-4 where there is an entire exemption section. It's not just a secret hack for those of us who know. That, combined with the tax sentiment right now, is quite interesting. He's talking about the tax sentiment where the IRS is starting to accept people and their exemptions and not paying taxes and whatnot. So it's taking pretty good root in the movement, because there are so many people that are wakening up to the fact that the IRS and their so-called codes and rules and laws don't apply. You don't have to pay taxes. It's a bunch of bullshit. As long as you know what you're doing, you can get away with it. And most people are like, oh, you go to jail, they'll shoot you, they'll kill you, they'll take everything. Yeah, if you don't know what you're doing, of course they will. But anyways, I know many of you say, fuck the IRS. Well, maybe I've grown soft over the past few years, but I think something very different. I think most of what we hate is simply a runaway train with no conductor. Have you ever spoken to an IRS agent over the telephone? They need to look up every other thing in some book or AI or wherever it is, and they need to ask a supervisor. I'm not excusing away the behavior of the government. I'm just saying that I think violence and delusions of revenge are truly unfounded. And what he's saying is that he's trying to avoid people from, saying we need to overthrow the government. We got to. He's explaining that violence isn't the answer. So he's giving you an alternative mentality for people to use for their perspective. So he says, I'm not excusing away the behavior of the government. I'm just saying that I think violence and delusions of revenge are truly unfounded. Once you let go, you are free. And that takes me back to to know truth will set you free, which is scripture. So once you let go, you are free. Sure, they tricked you into giving them notes. He's talking about money, talking about promissory notes. Yeah, sure, they tricked you into giving them notes. Sure, it's been rough. Sure, I don't disagree. But what are you going to get over to get revenge over? A corporation where hardly anyone has any has any knowledge of what's really going on. Obviously, we are living inside of a nightmare that someone is responsible for creating, but I doubt you will ever contact that person. It's painful and takes a big gulp, but I think the best choice is to forgive and move on. That's the entire crux of the Amnesty Coalition. It's amnesty, shockingly. It is walking the way Christ did. I think there is a tremendous power and wisdom in that. There is no one on the other side of the table. It's just a ghost. Once you let go, it's gone. Do you guys understand what that just said right there? Do you if you're not aware of the system that we are, that it's an illusion, and the fact that he's, a lot of our laws, a lot of our shit is funneled through the IRS. And so what he just basically said is that there's nobody there. There's nobody to get mad at. No one particular person. It's just the way it is. And until you learn how to navigate and maneuver through that system and use it to your advantage, you're going to be angry and upset, which is justified. But once you know what you're dealing with, it's easy to let it go. No, it's not against the law to not file. It's not true, Chicken Little. So Brendan has a lot of insightful information. And if you start looking into his information, and here in this video or in this post, he's talking about the guy at High Frequency Radio, who's a YouTube guy. He's a black guy. He's real angry, violent. He's real cocky. He's a prick. He demands people send him money. He won't give you any information unless you join his class, and it's, some crazy amount of money, blah, 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 blah. So Yusuf L is his name, which is a typical Moabite name from, somebody who's in the Nation of Islam. And they have different viewing, and they're angry, they're violent, they're, aggressive, whatnot. And so Yusuf L is attacking Brendan Joe over here. And this picture here is Brandon, excuse me. And he said, Yusuf L decided to do a live on YouTube, and he spent about half of the live freaking out about me. It was so terrifically special hearing the chirp of his ceiling bird throughout the video. Here's a picture of what your hungry ceiling bird desires, Mr. L. And if you guys don't understand what he meant by that, what do you think a 9-volt battery meant by a ceiling bird chirping? Anyways, go check them out. Let Brandon Joe Williams know that Lee Yeagerman, aka Bad Apple Media, sent you to come and check them out. Or don't, whatever. So I can honestly say that out of all of the gurus that I've been paying attention to over the years, he is by far the most knowledgeable and the most accurate, despite the fact that I actually had a falling out with him a few years back when he was in the early stages of his research, and he was falling, I guess you could say, for the banana in the tailpipe with the cashing in your Sustake V trust account, which is AKA your Social Security account. And he was on that, bandwagon for a little bit. And I could show you the email between me and him. Nonetheless, I'm not even going to bother. But I tried to explain to him that That's bullshit. Don't buy into that nonsense. You're going to cause yourself trouble. You're barking up a tree that don't exist. And I explained to him that money isn't real, so they are not going to give you a whole bunch of what isn't real. And I like to think that I kind of triggered something in him. Maybe not. And that, like I said, that was like 3 years ago, because I've always argued with anybody who thinks that you can cash in your Social Security account and get a big check. I'll tell you that you're a fool and that you're looking to be put under the prison or not breathe no more. So I would say that Brandon Joe Williams is probably one of the most efficient, thorough, and intelligent individuals in the sovereign movement. He has come to some crossroads that others have yet to find. He's broken down Dred Scott. He's broken down some old cases that, you know, he brought up the Susan B. Anthony case. If you know who Susan B. Anthony is, who she's on, you know, the Susan B. Anthony coin at the time back in the day, 1890 something, whatever it was. She decided that she was going to vote, even though women weren't allowed to vote. So she went to the Supreme Court. Back then, there were no municipal courts. There were no district courts. It was either the Supreme Court and I forget what there's only two courts. It was the local court and the Supreme Court. And she went to trial, and there was some things that were said in that trial about individuals and their rights associated with the 14th Amendment. And so point being is that Brandon, he breaks it down and he gets into the very minute details, and he's changed a lot of views of mine, and he's brought me to a place that no other guru has been able to do. I myself, with all the information that I've been gathering over the last 40 years off and on, you know, I was at, you know, a peak, I guess you could say. I was like, okay, well, what do I do next? And Brandon was the only one that showed me new information. So nonetheless, that's what's up. You want to go and watch his videos, the Contract Killer course over on YouTube, I suggest that you do it. And then you ask him to send you through one video a day. It'll only be one video per day. And if you don't watch the videos, he will cut you off the mailing list. So you better watch those videos. He's very, very adamant about paying attention to the information that he gives you. No, it's not just one video. It's multiple videos. His original Contract Killer course with the 30-something videos was sent to you one per day. I have them in my emails. I could pull them up and share them for you, but I would rather you go to his channel and give him the traffic and allow yourself to watch it from his channel itself. And then, like I said, you ask him for the contract. It's not called Contract Killer. It's just called the 2.0 course, I believe. And he'll send you each of the videos individually. And then maybe get his book. Maybe I'll get some copies of his book and do that. But at the same time, before you do that, you could also take a little peeky-loo, as you say, to this website. Let me see if I can pull it up real quick. Alrighty, let's see here. I can pull this up, this website here. It's called the Family Guardian Fellowship. You can look this site up, and this is where you'll find the Bible of liberty, of God-given liberty is what I call it. You would come down to this section, I believe. And then maybe it's not that one. Let's go back, go into, maybe it's in this one. They move stuff around a lot. Do you see this? Yeah, you can see it. Okay, go into, where is it at? They move it around. You just gotta navigate this website and you'll find it. Research tool, gun control, money banking, sovereignty. Maybe it's this part. All right. Oh, here we go. Yeah, come up here. Go to that. Right here. Go to sovereignty and freedom, and then up here where the checker flags are at. Don't let the duality, the Freemasons checkerboard fucking freak you out. Go up here to start here, path to freedom. Click on this, and this will be your homework. It's 410 pages. And I call it the Bible of God-given freedom. It gives you all of a complete and total index of everything that you're going to read. It's going to tell you everything that you want to know. It's got a table of contents. It's got the authorities. It's got everything. It's got USC, which is United States Code. It's got everything that you could ever imagine in this. And then it gets down into here. It'll give you the introduction. You see, eventually it'll come in. The introduction will be here shortly. Gives you all the IRS information. It gives, all right, let me get out of the satanic explanation, Satanism, da-da-da-da-da. It tells you about everything. It tells you about how you were literally deceived and tricked out of your God-given natural rights from the beginning of this country. It gives you Bible verses. It relates your freedom, as it says in the Bible, to know truth will set you free. And here's the introduction. It starts here down on page 49. So you read this entire thing. Read this. It's got links. You click on these links while you're scrolling through. You can watch videos associated with what they're talking about. You can read the scripture. You can do everything that you need to know and give you a very, very good starting point. I tell everybody all the time, some of you that are in here, I've actually read some of this, and a lot of people don't want to read. So, I could set my computer on this and you could screen record it. You could do this, I don't know if you got a computer where you can click on your mouse, push the button, and then drag it down, and it'll move on a steady speed like this. But like it tells you, quit filing resident forms. Why domicile and becoming a taxpayer require your consent. It gets into everything, man. And some of this might be a little outdated, but that's okay. You can move forward from it. And then, recognize that unlearning is the highest form of learning, which is ditching your indoctrination. The secret to Republican plot to make liberals look like idiots, known as Operation Just Let Them Speak, is working. It goes on and on. You can, it talks about taxation, talks about employment, talks about commerce, banking, travel. It just goes on and on with, like I said, I call this the Bible of true freedom. So, either you listen to me or you don't listen to me. I know everybody wants to say Sky Daddy, but I'll tell you right now, Ezekiel, God is real. And if I was to present my case in a court of law, in a civil trial, the jury would side with me and say that God exists. I have the proof. There's no way that anybody can listen to what has happened to me and the things that have occurred and deny the fact that God is real. Most people, they want to play agnostic, they want to play Gnostic, they want to be atheist. Hey, God gave us all that free will. You do what you will with it. I know what I'm doing with mine. I serve one master. People who vote and claim they're Christian or claim that they're Muslim, Islam, they claim they have a God. They're serving two masters. I don't care what God you serve as your religious or your spiritual guide. You cannot serve master that is man and a master that is your higher power. You need to pick one or the either. Man cannot serve two masters. End of the conversation. What's up, Dominico? Everything is American that I'm dealing with over here, Xenial. I'm not in the UK, so that's kind of a redundant question, young lady, young man. Can't remember if you're a woman or a man. I forget. My bad. But this is what you want to look up. That's what you look up. So I appreciate all of you. I do. Until the next time we meet again. Hell, it's still early. Look at that. It's 11 o'clock. I got some time to chill out before I go to bed. Maybe I'll do a little digging. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's live stream. And if you didn't, go cry to somebody else because you didn't pay a nickel for it. You didn't give me no shekels. And I'm only joking, Lynette. Nobody gave me any shekels. So don't complain. It was free. Throw some likes up there. Put some thumbs up. Put some thumbs down. I don't give two shits. Put some comments in the comments section. Put some activity on my channel. Didn't cost you a penny. Not one shekel. Not one shekel did come out of your pocket or your bank account. You didn't give me no promissory notes, no gold, no silver, no nothing. Give me a like. Give me a thumbs up. Give me a thumbs down. I don't care. Either or. Activity is activity. Give me some comments. Share this with your friends. Excuse me. Share this with your friends and family. Share it on your Facebook posts. Help a honky out around here, man. Come on. So until we meet again, ladies and gentlemen, appreciate y'all. And there's one person in here that knows what's up, waiting for her to spit it out. What's up, Lynette? What's up, Lynette? I think you know what time it is. It's time to get ill. Appreciate all you. Scissors, Chicken Little, Dominico, Xenial, Camdo Caveman. Who else was in here? I can scroll up. I don't know. Xenial's dominating there. We gotta get away from Xenial's comments. I appreciate it. Let's go up a little bit. Let's go up. Keep going up. I gotta name some names or not. No. Jeffro Miller. He's probably gone. Thanks for coming in, Jeffro. See, anybody else? Biscuits and Gravy. Appreciate you too. Alo. Oh, shit. Forgot to even say hello to Alo. What's up? What's up? Well, I appreciate everybody. I guess apparently Lynette's gone. So, in lieu of Lynette's appearance, I will take liberty and say you all can just...
Ain't no motherfucker in this world could do it like me. Open up your eyes and insert a little rising.
cruising in my lane fast, call it high speed. I've been working hard, yeah, I've been working nightly. If you think you'll win, ha, not fucking likely. I be taking shots, yeah, cold-blooded, icy. Watching numbers grow is what I call sightseeing. In the front row, run it up when they hype me. The following grows, they know how to ignite me. Call me CEO, I've been running shit right, see. And I ain't playing games, I create my own lane, making pleasure out of pain, turning losses into gains, I'm the boss, I'm making change, I've been rocking this exchange, popping off and risking things, gonna make a fucking name, I just wanna be famous, but I don't want that cheap fame, no I'm not that vain, I just wanna be greatness, I just wanna be greatness, I just wanna be greatness, I just wanna be greatness. Motherfucker in this world could do it like me. Open up your eyes and insert a little rising. You don't have to love me, you don't have to like me. Got enough love in myself and my psyche. You should have the same in your brain nightly. If you wanna taste, bitch, you can fucking try me. If you wanna hate, bitch, you know where to find me. And if you go and hate this, you can fucking bite me. Okay, I'm going off every chance I get. I don't really take a loss, well, I'll admit. That's why I'll make it to the top, yeah, I commit. And no, I'm never getting lost, I get after it. Investing in my own stock, cause it's faster than any crypto hits go, let me spend. Everything that you see is something I invent. And it's only I'm gonna take shots. If I miss all, forget it, I'll take a fat loss just to learn all that's in it. I'm taking snapshots, learning how to fall and get it. I'm getting back up, always stand tall, don't sweat it. I never back up, I don't miss a thing or regret it. I'm always learning, you could call me academic. I'm always working, never been apathetic. Bad energy is like a poison, needs some antiseptic.
Peace out, y'all.